moving into the last few minutes of this year's Drennan Winter Pole Championship, day one. Been a really interesting day today. It started off really well, the fishing on these lakes. Sam Slockett on Club Pool, he's £20 after about 25 minutes. And walking around, you know, it was clear to see anglers were getting a lot of bites, which wasn't what we expected at all, given the fact we had a very hard frost last night, and that was the first major one of the year. If you're wondering what that strange tapping is, by the way, and I apologise for that, it's this little character here trying to eat Jordan's pellets. So I'm hoping they back off in a minute. Either way, we're behind Jordan Holloway. Now, when I was here earlier, Jordan was catching really well on this short line and in the edge down to his right. Not massive fish, but very regularly. I think Jordan actually pointed out to me, Matty Hamilton further down the lake was catching really well, but that's one of them pegs, you can just about see it in the distance. Matty's in red down there, and that's one of the most difficult pegs to film on a day like this without a long lens with a camera, because he's sort of tucked away on 33 there, so you can't quite get to him. That said, I have seen him catching some good fish, so I think he might be leading the way on this lake. But Jordan here has been catching really regularly. He's had 2 fish in the 5 minutes or so since I've been here, and he's fishing just a top 4 from the bank at the bottom, or say just up actually, that near side slope, and that's another nice fish there. Jordan does really well. That one's come off actually. Jordan does really well here at Tunnel Barn Farm. One of the definitely one of the best anglers on here. Won over 100 peg matches here, which isn't bad when you think he's only 23 or 24 years old. So, as I said, he needs no introduction in terms of his record, and he's just changed. That's interesting. Look, he's just changed to this margin line. Just go in. There we are for the float cam for you folks. Been priming this all the time, and something I pointed out on the Facebook Live earlier is it's striking just how accurate he is with his feed. Like, just keep an eye the next time he throws some bait, and that's definitely what sets some of the best anglers apart here at Tunnel Barn Farm. It's that grouping of bait, just creating that dead tight little column the F1's homing on. Little back shot just above his float, then you can see that's dotted down, so when an F1 sucks it in, it's either a nice positive bite. It's all about that accuracy though, as is so much when it comes to fishing. It's all about feeding in a nice tight column and then presenting your rig on top of it. Don't think we'll be waiting long before he gets another one. There's the fact there's some bubbles there. And did you notice the speed as well, which he changed? Obviously he caught that fish on camera on the short pole at the start. He lost another one, and now he's moved lines, and we're still only, it's not even 3.5 minutes into the video, so that's the sort of pace he's working at to make the right changes and get the result he wants. Just to explain a little bit about the format of this, obviously it's a 3-day event, it's done on section points, so anglers are really looking today to win their 5 or 6 peg section, which will give them a chance, a hope, of making the frame or even winning it overall, because it's a 3-day event. I think, given the fact we've got 5 or 6 peg sections, you are going to need a perfect score of 3 points to win it. I think you'll probably need 3 points even, to be honest, to make the top 3. But that's not guaranteed. I mean, I've seen it before where higher points are needed, but the calibre of angler on this is so high. I just think somebody will have 3 section wins, given those smaller sections. The key on this, I think, as well, is just patience. You know, he's fed it, he's waiting now. Once he knows the fish are there, very easy late in a match, I've done it myself, fall into the trap of being too positive, to think to yourself, well, I'm fishing for a big weight, and start lashing the bait in, and all of a sudden there's fish everywhere in your peg and you're out of control. Whereas that accuracy and that controlled feeding, it helps keep the fish down near the bottom where Jordan wants them. And I think it won't be long before he strikes into one. laying that rigging down the slope so it falls in tight to the bank. And you can see that back shot just touching the water. Waiting for that fast whack under that means an F1's eating it. Really interesting though today. As I said, given that thick, heavy ground frost this morning, I honestly thought that this morning would be really tricky, and I thought maybe anglers would start catching a few fish later in the day, but that's not been how it's been at all. It's been the other way around. And Jordan's on the change again. Onto the short pole line. It's interesting though. Again, you can see, as I said, the sort of pace that he's working at to keep in touch with these fish. And that line, of course, has had a little rest now, a little break. Feeding twice to try and push the fish down to the bottom. Maybe you just want to sit in that slightly deeper water, as something's definitely changed. I think Jamie called it when I was behind him on the Facebook Live a few minutes ago. I said, oh, it struck me that, there we are, that's another fish short. It struck me that the day was almost going backwards to what you'd expect. He started off brilliant and ended up a bit slower. And he said it just goes to show how much that pressure's changed and everything, so that's another fish there for Jord. So we're going to watch him catch one more, and then we are going to sign off because we've got to go and follow the scales for the weigh-in. But let's just see what he's up to. Two maggots on the hook. Top four out from the bank. And you notice how he fed twice just before he hooked that fish, and he's not actually fed this time. He's waiting to see whether anything's come over that column of bait that he put in before. And if needed, he'll probably feed again, but you can see the discipline and the accuracy. Them two key things really that are setting the better anglers at this style of fishing apart from everybody else. He's going to feed, or he's thinking about feeding. Yeah. He's fed a few maggots. But again, see that dinner plate like accuracy that was, right around the float. He's waiting for positive indication. I think it's 11 Holloway's got in there, so quite a soft elastic, but one that does give you some level of control. Really, oh, missed another bite then. I don't think he'll be waiting too long, folks.